It appears that President Trump has suffered another defeat in the battle for his taxes. Now, earlier today, Trump lost a key court decision in a bid to block a subpoena from House Democrats who want to see his financial records. Okay, so now this was a 2-1 ruling in the U.S. Court of Appeals for the D.C. Circuit, and basically comes from a case where Trump had sued to block Democrats from subpoenaing one of his accounting firms that would have relevant financial information. So again, this is one of these investigations that's currently going on that is separate from the impeachment investigation. And so this is them looking into the emoluments clause. So now Democrats, again, want these records so they can see if Donald Trump has any sort of potential conflicts of interest, which we know probably he does. Very likely that he does. I would be surprised if he didn't. And had any improper payments from foreign governments. So, of course, that's all related to the emoluments clause, which, by the way, it's in the Constitution. You cannot take foreign emoluments, any sort of gifts, or contributions or anything from foreign governments. It's very, very clear, and the whole purpose is, of course, to prevent corruption. Well, we've got plenty of corruption. It's in the White House right now. So now, Judge Patricia Millett of the D.C. Circuit Court, she said, quote, and I love this statement, contrary to the president's arguments, the committee possesses authority under both House rules and the Constitution to issue a subpoena. Uh, and so, actually, I'm sorry, that's Judge David Tattle wrote in a joint opinion by Judge Patricia Millett. So let's be clear about that. Again, this is a 2-1 ruling where, again, the appeals court says, look, you've got the authority. The House has the authority under these committees. Subpoena away. So now the thing that got him, President Trump, was mainly, look, there were a lot of years of precedent, right? A lot of different court cases. But the main one here was a Watergate era precedent that said simply, strongly implies that presidents enjoy no blanket immunity from congressional subpoenas. Now remember, the Trump administration's argument was, well, we should have blanket immunity, or else it gets in the way of me doing presidential stuff. So, I mean, if I'm being investigated, I can't actually do my job. Look, there's a certain sense to that. But remember, the administration argued for complete and total immunity from every sort of investigation, anything. So, could shoot someone on Fifth Avenue, literally. Sorry, can't do an investigation, can't punish a president while he's sitting in office. The judge, obviously, these two judges on the appeals court had rejected that, and so had an earlier judge. So this is the president's first appeal. So now, again, we know that's an insane argument, but that's what the administration has been banking on to try to block and run out the clock. So now, there's a couple of things that Trump can still do, though. Unfortunately, it's not a lock yet. The president can either ask for a review by the entire D.C. Circuit, which currently includes 11 active judges. So look at the breakdown, right? 7 of them were appointed by Democrats, and 4 were named by Republican presidents. So you end up having a court that is more Democrat than anyone else. So that tells me that he's going to go in a different direction if he decides to appeal this, and that would be the Supreme Court. I think he'd prefer the court because Gorsuch and Kavanaugh. So he probably thinks, and this is how, from what I get, this is how Trump thinks, right? So I put them in the court. They owe me. I put Kavanaugh, I put Gorsuch on the court. I got them through. They owe me because I gave them their jobs. Whether or not that turns out to be correct, well, I mean, that they see it that way, well, that'll be a different thing. Okay. And again, I don't know. The century of precedent is very, very clear. The president is not above the law. And again, you would have to be deeply 100% corrupt. Now, I'm not saying that can't be the case when it comes to Kavanaugh or Gorsuch, but look, I think at some point, if they rule on behalf of Donald Trump, they're going to appear to be incredibly partisan. When you're on the court, you're supposed to at least have the appearance of not being incredibly partisan, of being, basically somebody who goes to the Constitution. And look, Gorsuch himself calls himself a constitutional originalist. And so I don't think that he would do this. I don't think that he'd be like, well, yeah, that's right, President, above the law, nothing you can do. I just don't see that happen. Okay, but then again, I could be wrong. I just don't see a way that Donald Trump can actually win this. And again, it's clearly denoted in the Constitution that the House, that these committees have the power to issue subpoenas, especially when it comes to relevant investigations. But as usual, we're going to have to see how this unfolds. We're going to have to see how the House Democrats react, as well as Donald Trump, and see where this goes from here. Hey guys, hopefully you enjoyed that free video. Now I'm going to have to ask you a favor. Between the demonetization and the YouTube algorithm messing around with view counts, etc., we're having a hard time adjusting to the new YouTube reality, which is where you guys come in. See, we have a Patreon, patreon.com/TYTNation, set up to help us rely on you guys, the viewers, instead of big corporate ads. Look, you know the show. You know how I'm not in favor of big corporations anyway. So help us transition away from relying on the ad model to pay the bills and sign up to be a patron, patreon.com/TYTNation. That goes a long way to help us keep the lights on. And you guys will know that you're supporting independent progressive media.